Welcome back to the High Side Podcast. I'm Donnie, joined by Josh Adams, and this week we have a special guest. Josh, go ahead and introduce our guest.
Yes, our guest tonight is world-renowned movie star, sometimes singer, actor, producer, Bradley Cooper. We know him from The Hangover, some other movies like American Sniper, and A Star Is Born. And he's a big time Eagles fan too, so that's a plus.
I am none of those things.
Not quite that Bradley Cooper. Close.
Did I get it wrong?
It's actually the one and only Bradley Cooper from Vspeed. So Bradley, welcome to our studio. Thanks for playing along with our little intro there. I figured I'd have some fun with it. How you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me over.
Of course. We tend to start off the show with our guests telling us who their favorite NASCAR driver is. Do you have one?
Yeah, well, I did. I was a Casey Kane fan, and hopefully at Rockingham he comes back and does well. But current state, I'm probably a Kyle Larson fan, I guess. I'm just a Hendrick Motorsports guy through and through.
Okay. Did you like Casey before he was at Hendrick?
Yeah, liked him when he drove for Abraham. He had his little, sophomore slump, and then ended up racing for Red Bull for a little while. And he did well. I mean, he got him a victory, did some things that car probably shouldn't have done at Phoenix. So I think he was a really talented guy, just unfortunate with his health, I guess.
Yeah, he is a damn good race car driver. I miss seeing him on track. I think, I can't remember. What was his last season around? Was it 13? I can't remember off the top of my head.
2014, I think, was his last year. I think he won like the Coke 600 in another race. He's having problems with dehydration during events, and doctors basically ruled that he should quit driving the car. Still did some dirt track stuff for a while, but he should be back at Rockingham. That's what I heard. In an Xfinity car.
On track, I believe, with Kenseth as well. So that'll be really fun to watch. Hopefully, I can step away from computer sales for a moment to at least watch that. But we're going to do a quick recap of all the racing that had happened over the last week. We may replicate what we've recapped in the last episode, but you guys get a back-to-back one for a change. So real quick over the Truck Series race winner at Las Vegas, it was Corey Heim. I think that's one of the ones we mentioned last week, as well as Justin Allgaier's Xfinity win. But we didn't mention that was Junior Motorsports' first checkered flag at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So I'm sure they're pretty hype about that. We also did a quick mention of the high limit dirt race that was going to happen that weekend at Las Vegas, and the winner ended up being Corey Day, who beat NASCAR driver Kyle Larson. But we did not get to discuss the Cup winner at Las Vegas, which came to a surprise, I think, for most. It was Josh Berry with the Wood Brothers. It was his first Cup Series victory. I meant to look up the last Wood Brothers win. I'm pretty sure it was Pocono with Ryan Blaney. Is that correct, Josh?
It is not. Harrison Burton won the nighttime Daytona race last season.
That's right. Yep, because Jeff Burton was all excited about that. I remember that.
I was going to say Trevor Bayne because I haven't been paying attention for that long.
It's been...
Yeah, Harrison got number 100, so that was 101 for the Wood Brothers with Josh Berry.
That's cool. So if you guys haven't guessed by now, Josh Berry is going to be the main story for this episode. How much do you watch of the races, Bradley?
Well, I had to do my homework for this week. I hope we don't talk about the prior before this too much at Phoenix, because I'm going to be honest, I know that Bell won it, and that's about it. but I did do my homework for Vegas. I watched all the laps. I think it was like 254 or something like that. So I watched the whole race.
That's more than I was able to watch. So congrats on that.
Yeah, and one thing we should mention before we get too far, this is our first non-Christopher Bell episode, so we might not know what to talk about tonight.
Oh,
that's true. Oh, well.
We got plenty of topics. There was plenty of controversy at Vegas.
Yes, we actually have quite a list here that Josh put together for us. I appreciate that, Josh. We got a lot of clips to watch too, so we should get our live reactions on most of these. But we're gonna start off with this. I was gonna ask you, Bradley, but I'm gonna save this question for Josh. And the question is Josh Berry and Rodney Childers the formula needed to put Wood Brothers back on the map?
Yeah, I mean it definitely is. Anytime you put a championship crew chief with a driver like Berry, who has proven now in the Cup Series, but through his time with Junior Motorsports and the Xfinity Series, he's a proven winner. He's a veteran of stock car racing, but he's still very fresh into the NASCAR stuff. But he's definitely proven his worth, and like I said, champion crew chief with maybe soon to be champion driver at some point. It's definitely great for the team and himself. You need a veteran like Rodney to get the full potential probably out of the driver.
Yes, I don't really get to see the Wood brothers too often, picking up some victories, and I think they've run well for the first part of the season so far, minus Las Vegas going out and grabbing the victory. I'm excited to see what else they can do for the rest of the season. We're going to get into that anyway, so I'm not going to jump any more in on that, but he went from winning the 2020 Late Model Stock National Championship, won more than 20 races across several different tracks in the Southeast, moved up to Junior Motorsports Xfinity 8 car in 2021 before going full-time. And he was put in Chase Elliott's car when Chase ended up injured. I forget what year that was, 2020 maybe, 2021. And he impressed then. So do you guys think that this is the first of many Cup victories for Josh Berry?
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not. They've won now one race out of 4 or 5, and he's been close to the top 5 and top 10 and 1 or 2 others. So they should get it rolling here pretty soon, if not now.
Do you have much knowledge on Josh Berry there, Bradley?
I think it was 57 starts total in Cup, if that's right.
I think you are correct on that.
I think he was measured, kind of his metrics go from when he filled in for Chase Elliott. But, I mean, for a guy to come into a team, 5 starts with the team and get a win, that's his full-time ride. He's locked in now to the playoffs. I think he just proved to everybody that he's got the goods. He's got the ability. And with Penske backing him up, I see no reason why they can't carry this momentum all the way through to the playoffs. Another win could happen at any time. Plenty of cookie cutter tracks just like Vegas out there.
Another thing, I didn't have this written down anywhere, but one thing I would like to point out that after Stuart Haas's departure from the sport, I think right now it's just Gene Haas that's left. But what was it? Noah Gragson, you had Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, and the fourth name is, I'm drawing a blank. Remind me who the fourth driver was. Oh, Priest.
Custer.
Well, Custer's in Xfinity, right?
Well, I think you had mentioned before, right? Or were you talking about now?
The last season's Cup lineup, that was Barry Priest, Gragson, and Briscoe, right?
Yeah.
So out of all 4 of those drivers, I mean, that if I had to say like the last person I would have expected to go and grab that win out of that group, I think it would Barry. For me to like, oh, that's asked, know that. I didn't pay a lot of attention to Josh Berry's career prior to this. Are you guys equally as surprised as I am that he was the first one of that four to grab the win first?
I would probably say no, just because of the spot he landed. Like Bradley just said, he's in the Penske system now. I think unlike a lot of teams, that's they're pretty close when it comes to how they're aligned. But one thing we'll talk about, that like we've been talking about, that Junior Motorsports farm system he came through. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is very confident in pretty much all the drivers he sends into his rides and wants the best from them. And if Dale Jr. is confident in a guy to go from just late model stocks to cup racing, then I don't think anybody should be surprised. And you were going to mention it. 2 years ago, Junior put out on X. He said, if you want to be a championship cup car owner and you want a championship cup driver, hire Josh Berry. He might be onto something.
Yeah, I was actually kind of curious about that quote. And I mean, Justin Allgaier's proof. Anyone that, Chase Elliott drove through that company. A lot of good names went through Junior Motorsports on their way to where they are now. So does Dale have a knack for like picking talent? Would you say he's like the number one guy, like who sees talent, like raw talent from these drivers?
Yeah, I would say he's definitely up there. I think as far as them getting the opportunity after they stop in his team, he's probably number one. But not all those guys like started immediately with Dale Earnhardt Jr. So we can't just maybe definitively say yes. But he's been the one that has given them the equipment needed to show their worth and what value they can have in the Cup Series. So I would probably definitely say yes.
I want to pull up the Cup standings real quick. I don't know if the editors are going to throw this on screen, but I have, out of those four drivers I was talking about earlier, Josh Berry actually leads the former Stewart-Haas group. He's 13th in points, not far behind. Ryan Preece sits 18th. The biggest surprise for me, Chase Briscoe is currently sitting in 20th. I expected Briscoe to have a much higher seed at this point in the season. Granted, it's still early.
Hamlin's down there.
Yeah, even Denny Hamlin. He's not run ecstatic. At least not as good as Mr. Bell here, running second in points. When you're a teammate on Joe Gibbs Racing right now, everyone's looking at that C-Bell car. And then all the way back here, Noah Gragson sits 33rd. Rough start to his season. I mean, there's actually quite a few surprising names. You got Brad in 30th, SVG 31st. They're sitting back here with guys like Jimmy Johnson, who we barely even see on the track really anymore, is Jimmy Johnson.
One race.
I think, I think that one race is because he got third at Daytona International Speedway.
And then if you scroll back up, we can talk about that Dale Jr. System again real quick. It hasn't always been just Dale Jr., but Brad Keselowski played a hand in a lot of these guys' early success too. But guys that have came through Junior Motorsports, you see William Byron first in points, Tyler Reddick third in points. You've got a couple other guys down there, like Zane Smith was one of the ones. He's not high in points, but he even had a short little stint there, and he's top 10, I think, 2 races this season. So a lot of success right now in the Cup Series with 2 guys in the top 5 and proven winners.
Yeah, I've noticed, especially with this kind of car, now that the next gen is finally starting to get its foot in the ground here, you're starting to see a lot of the younger drivers excel higher than the drivers who are used to that Gen 6 car or that COT car that was more in the driver's hands.
I feel the same way about iRacing right now.
Yeah, I'm not very good in the car either. I can't remember where I saw the quote. It may have been on a podcast. Give me a second while I try to remember this. Sorry, guys. It was Kyle Busch.
Remember, Chase Elliott was another one of those, and he's went out and won a Cup championship in 2020.
Yep, Chase Elliott. He fired off as soon as they put him in the 9 car. He started firing off. He was great in the 24 though. So, but the driver, I was thinking it was Kyle Busch's interview on Kevin Harvick's show, and Kyle mentioned that he had to actually go get advice from, I believe it was Chase Elliott and a couple other standout drivers that were, a little younger, what they were doing inside the car. And another thing that could be an effect that, Kyle said that he had to put his car setup more in the crew chief and the race engineer's hands than him telling them what's wrong with the car. The older cars, you could say, yeah, I'm loose off of 2, whatever, do this for me, and then they tighten it up. That doesn't seem to be the case in this car anymore. It's more just, the engineer has to fix the car, not really what you're feeling. And Kyle said that it's helped all of RCR get better right now in comparison to where they were last year. So let's go over to... No, actually, I have one more thing to say now that Josh Berry is in the playoffs. How far do you guys think that team is going to get into the playoffs? You think in like round of 12, round of 8? Round of 8. Round of 8?
Round of 8.
Feeling that? What about you, Josh?
I'd say I could agree with that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets, just through the round of 12, but he's putting on the consistent performances right now that I could definitely see him getting through the round of 8. Plus, there's some tracks in the playoffs that I think suit him pretty well too, with 1.5 miles, and then even if he was to get to the round of 8, he's pretty close to a short track, so he's definitely got a shot. Like, I wouldn't say that he's a championship contender or anything like we've been talking about with some other guys, but I'd definitely say 8 is fair.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward that as well. Maybe even a little step back into round of 12 territory, but I wouldn't be surprised he gets through the round of 8 either. But so yeah, maybe we'll see. Oh, actually, I don't know. I mentioned this before we started recording, but I don't know if Bradley was here for this. But every single driver that has won this season, their last name begins with a B.
That's interesting.
So, do you guys think we'll see another B winner next week?
Who's left? Who's left that hasn't won that has a B? That's what I want to know.
Alex Bowman.
All right.
I don't think he's
Kyle
winning
Busch.
this week, though.
No, I don't think he's winning this week either.
But
Kyle
one
Busch.
one thing we could see, though, Ryan Blaney's been really good the last couple of attempts at Homestead, especially in the playoff race. So he could be one, but Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson are out there too, so they could definitely end that streak.
I'm glad you mentioned Blaney, actually. How about a guy that started in the back of the field, and as soon as he got to the top 5, the car was junked?
It was
like, how frustrating is that?
It had to be super frustrating because we saw, you mentioned that you were a Hendrick fan. We saw Kyle Larson and William Byron lose the great track position in 1 and 2, and they couldn't pass anybody at the end. We saw Ryan Blaney basically pass the field 3 times at Las Vegas, and he would have definitely been a contender if that wouldn't have happened to him.
Yep, bad fast car. And, you can pin the blame on anybody you want. I think Bell probably could have gave him more room. Blaney kind of put it on himself and said, that's my fault. Didn't realize there was 2 to my outside. But honestly, it doesn't much matter because even if there was only 1 car to the outside, like Bell just keeps coming up the racetrack. So,
yeah, I definitely agreed. I had, I'm a fan of Blaney myself, and I had some buddies that wanted to put it all on Blaney, saying, "No, he kept coming up, he kept coming up." But you know,
There's nowhere to
it
go.
looked like to me, Christopher Bell came up off of that corner like he was expecting just one guy on his outside, not three.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry to get off topic, but
No, there's no script here. I'm just kidding. There is.
yeah. Follow the script. Read from the prompter, guys.
Let's go ahead and jump over to some subtopics, which we'll start with the Dash for Cash. The Xfinity series has its first Dash for Cash race this weekend, featuring Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, and Sam Mayer. No clear favorite. Xfinity has seen 6 different winners in the last 6 races. So the best of those 4 takes the cash prize. Josh, I assume you're watching more of the Xfinity races than, like, say, me or Bradley would be. So if somebody's a betting man, who of those guys do we need to, like, pay attention to?
I mean, I think you always look at, Justin Allgaier, but I think that'll be a track that, Austin Hill will be pretty good at. So I'd say probably those 2 probably have the best shot at it. But, don't be surprised about Jesse Love either. And, Sam Mayer is actually running, I think, better than maybe people might have expected out of Haas Factory team. So it should be a pretty good race for those 4 drivers running for that cash prize. But I'd say definitely within those 4, Justin Allgaier and Austin Hill would be the ones to put it up on the boards and get the most out of it.
Yeah, I think also Justin Allgaier, fresh off a win, obviously running well in the Daytona 500. I have to imagine that there's some kind of a fire lit under their ass over at Junior Motorsports right now. So just based off of momentum alone, I like the sound of Justin Allgaier winning this thing. So, now do you guys, and I'll ask Bradley this because you're more into the broadcast scene than we are. So do you think incentives like $100,000 cash to win make the races more entertaining for fans?
I mean, let's go back to the 90s right now and look at every all-star race ever. I mean, when you put $1 million up there, those guys do all kinds of strategy. Jeff Burton, to get advanced into the next round, pits on the very last lap, right? And drives 47 feet across the finish line. There's a lot of things that you can create with money. The incentive to win, it quadruples, right? Like, everybody wants to win, but when it's a one-off, it changes the attitude. The problem that I have with it right now, though, is when you do things like that with maybe like a little bit of a lower talent pool, it can create a lot of chaos. And people that probably would deserve to win that race might not have the chance because they get taken out from somebody doing a Hail Mary or doing something just careless because they're not having a good day. So it's a catch-22, I guess.
Yeah, I remember some of them, like watching back some of those old All-Star races, specifically that Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip thing. I believe that was 89. You don't see
or a
that
car that's
too often.
sank into the track that is not not legal by any means.
Right.
Sorry, I had to knock on Hendrick just for a second.
So, and just to maybe, I don't even know if you knew about this, Bradley, but just to add on to your point, the aggression level that there is now, especially in the Cup cars, because these things are tanks. NASCAR is actually introducing its first ever in-season tournament, similar to the NBA, in 2025 Cup racing for $1 million cash prize. So, do you think we're going to see more races like, or more incidents like, say, Austin Dillon at Richmond, or people getting punted out of the way like they would in the LA Coliseum? Do you think we're going to see?
I don't see why not. I think there's limitations of what these cars can do still with the toe lengths, and there's still a criteria that you have to meet for professionalism. But these guys, I mean, when they when they want to win, they want to win. You saw it with Dylan. Like you brought up Richmond. That's a prime example of a guy that's just so desperate to win a race that he'll do anything it takes. And we need more of that in the sport. So incentivizing it with whatever you got to do, get these guys out of their comfort zone. And you might see more names like Josh Berry that have never won before come up there and do something incredible. You need those Hale Mellon, Ross Chastain riding the wall, creating rules to make the sport interesting. That's kind of something NASCAR's been lacking here for the last probably decade. So I'm kind of happy with the direction they're headed, the incentives there.
Sorry if I cut into anything there. I think my voice connection is going out right now. I can't really tell. You guys just let me know if I'm cutting in and out real bad.
Yeah, it's fine right now.
Josh, did you have anything you wanted to add on to that?
That's one thing. Like you said, they're going to do new this season. Yeah, I think they probably got the idea from when Denny Hamlin brought up his bracket challenge that he laid out on his podcast, and they kind of just went with an official thing. Like we've seen the NBA start doing an in-season tournament for a trophy, and I don't know if there's cash prize maybe for that, but they're gonna run the way they're gonna do that. The last few races on Prime this season are gonna qualify you into your tournament seeding position. And then they're going to run driver head-to-heads through the TNT portion of the schedule. And each driver is going to eliminate their opponent a couple weeks in a row. And then it's going to come down to two drivers in one race. I forget what the track is, but those two drivers are going to be going head-to-head for $1 million. So it won't be the entire field, so that it'll be pretty cool to have, maybe a side-by-side camera just on two guys. If they're able to have like a great race, just two guys running each other for $1 million.
Yeah, it would give us, those watching something else to like pay attention to as well. Because, I think we've all done it. Your favorite team doesn't make the Super Bowl, but you're going to watch it, right? You put something intense like that, something big on the field, you're gonna tune in.
I was mad.
You
I was still
mad?
salty. Yeah. No, I watched it. I was glad it was the Eagles.
Yeah, I was.
I'm not the real Bradley Cooper, but no.
Yeah, the real Bradley Cooper wasn't mad either.
No. I'm the Temu version.
Temu Bradley Cooper, thanks for coming on the show. Guys, we actually got some videos here coming up here. I know Josh submitted some of these to the editors, and they've edited them for us, and they're going to be tossing them up on screen here in a minute. But we've had a lot of tire issues, some pit road miscues, and a big wreck to go over here. A lot of tire issues this week, Josh. Do you think there's anything, a leading cause for that?
I think it just comes down to, a lot of weeks they try and run, like a hard compound on one side and a softer compound on the other. And, the teams are really aggressive and just trying to get the most speed out of the cars that, a lot of times Goodyear will say that the teams just try to get too much. So I haven't seen any definitive indications as to whether that might have been something that had to do at Vegas. But yeah, there was 3 or 4 different guys that actually blew tires. We saw Blaney do it in practice, and 3 or 4 guys that did it in the race, which we'll see. But yeah, I don't know if there's any consistent reason as to why, but it was definitely an issue.
I'm excited to check this out. You guys have obviously watched it live. I haven't had a chance to go back over thanks to my work schedule and my addiction to video games, but I'm going to get to see what this is. First one we're going to go over, Briscoe loses a tire. This is going to be on board, and it's on lap 33. Editors, if you can go ahead and throw that up on screen for us. There's no audio here, so we can do live reaction there for you there, Bradley.
See, it's going to be a slow speed. He's coming out of pit road. And
they knew as soon as that happened.
Oh, yeah. You'll see it start bouncing around here in a second.
Oh. Damn. Oh, there it goes.
It's unfortunate it happens under green, during a pit cycle, but it's good for him and everybody really that it happened at such a slow speed on the apron. He didn't run into a wall or put anybody else in danger. So that's probably the best way it could happen outside of just coming off on pit road itself.
It kind of looked like the tire tried to stay on the apron too, started wrapping its way back to the left. Like that tire was like, I'm going to go back on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's always bad when those tires go off on their own and have a chance to get punted by one of the race cars on the track. So
big danger there. I'm surprised they don't really tether the wheels like they do in. Well, I don't know. They do tether the wheels, don't they? Well, I guess it come off. I guess I'm just looking at it the wrong way. If it's not bolted onto the car right, I guess it's not tethered anymore. So
yeah,
ignore that. But so Shane Van Gisbergen actually cuts a tire down on lap 105 and lap 204. Damn, he's been having a rough time at it, hasn't he? This is the lap 105. Let me find the other on board as well. Here we go. Van Gisbergen, editors, please throw this up on screen for us. Oh. Did he get hit there?
I think that's a tire blowout.
Yeah, I think the first one was just kind of a self-spin. He said on his radio he was a little bit upset the way that John Hunter Nemechek raced him. So I don't know if he just, tried to get too much going up against John Hunter. But the second one was definitely a tire blowout and it ended his day.
Throw that one up, guys. Lap 204. Almost made it to the end. Oh,
this one was right front. The other one was right rear. It did go. It went flat. But from what I remember, the cords were showing it lost air pressure and got to the point where, it just gave up. This one was just a straight blowout.
Yeah, we also had another tire failure or a wheel loss, I should say, from Kyle Busch. That happened on lap 113. They ended up losing the tire changer and the jackman for 2 races, which is exactly what that team didn't need with how good they've been running. They've had top 10s in, was it 3 of the first 4 races or 5 races or something like that. They've finished top 10 quite a bit already, so not something that they needed. We don't have a clip of that. Bummer for those guys. Hopefully they can get back into a rhythm. And who knows? Maybe they'll go out and win this weekend. I know a lot of teams, they're coming back from adversity is to just win. Cody Ware also cuts a tire on lap 188. Editors, go ahead and throw that one up for us as well. Oh, that's going to hurt. God.
Was that in 3 and 4?
Yeah,
it looks that way.
Yeah, one thing we don't get to see with that one, Cody Ware was running a pretty sick looking Evil Knievel inspired paint scheme that they pointed out on the broadcast. So that was the best part of his day.
Had some sweet rims on that thing too. They were metallic gold.
We had a incident on pit road on lap 190 involving Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs. The editing team wants us to know, or wants to know who we think's at fault. So I guess we'll just get one opinion one at a time here. But guys, go ahead and throw that up on screen as well. Oh, that I can immediately just say right off rip, it's hard to point blame at either driver. That's got to be spotters and crew chiefs to tell them.
Yep.
And I mean, the 54, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just going to his pit stall. So I mean, if I had to point at a specific team, it would be Hocevar's team. They didn't. They either need to hold the jack or tell Hocevar to just wait a second and then go. But I mean, Ty Gibbs is just trying to pit there. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the driver's always ready to go as soon as the jack drops. But one other thing that they pointed out, I forget who was pitting with who, but the teams can also work together on pit road. Hocevar was stopped pretty deep, and if he shallows up his entry and doesn't stop as deep, I might be able to make a cleaner entry. Who knows? We'll never know. But it's definitely on the Hocevar team. Getting him out is the crew chief's job or the spotter's job. Hocevar's not looking to his back right when he's coming out.
Yeah. I liked Mike Joy saying, well, he's technically in his box. He was facing the wrong direction, and they still changed the tires on the car. They went on with the pit stop. He's facing 180 degrees the wrong way, and they still went 4 tires and finished it up. So that was kind of neat, too.
Yeah, so we've got the pit stop that way. We don't have a video of the other weird pit stuff, but Bradley, we know that you told us you had an opinion on the other one.
I have a full on opinion about it.
Yeah, Christopher Bell leaving his pit stall, they realized that they had a tire loose like their teammate. So we'll let you take it away with your opinion on Christopher Bell pitting outside his box.
If NASCAR mandates anything more than what they already gave him for end of line, they don't truly care about safety. This should be a legal move within the gray area. And yeah, you can penalize the team track position. But if you mandate a rule that drivers can't come into another stall, I know that it's kind of advantageous to leave your stall and then realize that you made a mistake and pit in a teammate's stall. But at least they knew, right? So there's not a tire coming off down the tri-oval into turn 1 where somebody could get hurt. I think if a tire falls off at that speed through that portion of the racetrack, that thing can jump a catch fence. So if NASCAR goes beyond that ruling and mandates a new rule, puts anything beyond just penalizing to the back of the field, then they truly aren't in the interest of safety. Then now it's race manipulation territory, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that 100%. And he got lucky that they had a teammate down there. Adam Stevens, his crew chief, like knowing that teammate was down there was a heads up move, and that was key because if he stopped in a Hendrick box, for instance, the 5 team's not going to tighten that tire for him more than likely. So,
well, there you go. There's a new rule.
Yeah. So yeah, that
pull into another team's pit, and they have to tighten the lug nut.
Yeah, maybe they'll definitely be in the interest of safety with that then, but. Like that other team probably wouldn't have done that. But one thing I do know, I think it was Bob Pockris posted, I think it was earlier today, and mentioned that as of right now, Christopher Bell doing what he did isn't going to be anything more than an end of line because they did mention safety aspects of pit road, like a tire or a gas can or a wedge wrench, something like that. They will allow you to pit outside of your box, but if you pit outside of your box for something advantageous like a tire change or something stupid that would never happen anyway, that is where you would get in trouble for it, like a EOL plus, I think they said like multiple lap penalty or something. So right now they're thinking the way you are, so that's a good thing.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
So, excuse my ignorance here, but is this the first time that we've seen somebody do this, where they just pull off into a teammate's pit box for like something like that?
For a lug, yeah, for a center nut, yeah, I think.
Yeah, definitely for that one, for sure. I'd say something similar has probably happened in the past, but nothing that I can recall right off the top of my head.
You brought up the wedge wrench, and that's happened before, where drivers will stop in a teammate's pit box to get the wrench out.
I've enjoyed as a viewer in this next gen era, we've seen a lot of out of the box thinking with some of these teams. With Chastain ripping the fence at Martinsville, Obviously, the Christopher Bell thing with the lug nut, they were quick on their feet with that one. And the other one I like is, I think it was Gibbs as well. I forget which driver it was, but I think it was at Daytona. They had that tablet out with a timer so they could just top off on fuel when the timer ran out. The driver left the box. What driver was that?
Yeah, I think that was all the Gibbs cars that introduced a tablet for Daytona. And
was
like
it
whenever
Truex that started that?
Maybe whenever like the screen just turned green and the driver knew to go. So that cuts out maybe that half a second delay that it might take for the crew chief to come through to the driver. So stuff like that, they're all getting pretty smart. And then one other thing, back to some heads up pit things like that, is a lot of times there's championship moves. Like championship crew chiefs think of stuff like that. Like we saw when Chase Elliott won the championship in 2020. And he had the Jackman leave too early at Martinsville, and then he was heads up and knew the rule that he could reset himself and not get penalized. So like if he didn't know that rule right off the top of his head in that moment, Chase Elliott probably doesn't win the 2020 championship. So that kind of heads up thinking and knowing the rules when you go in is definitely key.
That is badass. I didn't know that. We also had a big crash at Vegas, and this took place on lap 195. Sorry, Josh. Another week where your driver is just the rear end of the stick, apparently. So we have a couple of angles. We're going to start with Austin Dillon. Is it Austin or Ty?
This one's Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon. Okay, so we have an onboard shot from Dillon's car of the wreck. Editors, go ahead and throw this one up for us. Oh yeah, you can't see shit. Oh my God.
And one thing, we don't get to hear his radio, but he was actually upset with Brad Keselowski because when you saw his car jolt forward in that clip, it was actually Brad Keselowski that ran him over. So he yelled something about Brad, man, check up, something like we would on iRacing if we get wrecked in something like that.
I like that Austin just hates Brad Keselowski. Like that New Hampshire thing. That's good.
Donnie, I think you'll get a kick out of this next clip, getting to see it for the first time. The move that Justin Haley's going to make here.
All right, I'm excited. Editors, put that one up for us.
Yeah, his spotter right now is just telling him to get low, get low, get low. And squeezes through everybody, and the smoke clears right at the perfect time for him.
Hell yeah. I need a replay. Replay that. Oh man, I wish this was slow motion. That is so badass. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. When you guys do that shit on iRacing, dude, I'm celebrating when I get through a crash like that.
Yeah, there's always, and Bradley's probably heard this multiple times, but if you're listening in as a broadcaster to the game chat and a driver does something spectacular like that on the track, they're always like, hey, broadcast my onboard, 95, something like that. They always get pretty excited.
Yeah, I try, so I maybe revealing too much. I try not to have the actual iRacing chat on. A lot of people will be like, hey, did you see this thing at such and such lap? And like, they all blend together at this point. I'll be honest. I watch so much racing at this point that I probably did catch it. I hope I did. But if I missed it, really sorry. 9 times out of 10, I find it, but we try.
All right. So we're actually just going to go ahead and jump straight into our Cup race picks for Homestead. And guess who gets to start us off? Mr. Bradley Cooper.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the odds here at Homestead. Probably some long odds, but I'm going to say Barry goes back to back. I'm going to go with Barry back to back just because he's got a lot of confidence right now. And they put together a great race car. I'm sure that's going to be the same car, very similar racetrack, progressive banking. And I see no reason why they can't put it all together two times a season. So why not back to back?
Oh man, it's a good pick, but I believe it's going to be the wrong pick. And I'm kind of juggling in two hands here. Who to pick? Well, we all know Kyle Larson's going to do well. He's just nobody's better than him at ripping the wall, unless I'm missing somebody. But there's two drivers that stand out for me. One is going to be Christopher Bell because of how hot of a streak he's been on, other than Vegas, and he still ended up finishing top 16. But he's a dirt racer. He can get right up against that fence too, just like Kyle Larson. And with that kind of momentum that they've had this season, I don't see why he wouldn't win. But one driver who is very fast at Las Vegas and led a lot of laps, man, I really feel like, you know what my pick is going to be is Austin Dillon. Just kidding, Austin Cindric. The 2-car for Penske. That's who my pick is.
Well, Donnie, you told Bradley that he had the wrong pick, and I'm going to tell you that you've got the wrong pick. I would go with the Ford driver if I was going with my favorite, and obviously I want to, but I'm going to say that Tyler Reddick goes back to back at Homestead.
That is a good pick.
Damn. Tyler Reddick's a sleeper, man. He's a damn good driver.
I thought that's the way you were going. You started talking about dirt experience and everything. You guys just loved me, Tyler Reddick.
I'm a closet Reddick fan. I liked him when he drove the 8. Just want to throw that out there.
Okay, just out of curiosity, because I think we're doing pretty good here on timing. I haven't gotten any time warnings yet from the editors. So, before we jump into the next clip we have seen some drivers that have had rough starts to their season. Josh, is there anyone that stands out to you that is finally going to turn it around this weekend?
I think there's a few that could. Like we mentioned a little bit ago, the 12 car had a lot of speed the last couple of weeks, and he's had great speed the last couple of times they've been to Homestead. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of got some of the bad luck off of their back. And then even maybe Kyle Busch, we saw the way his race played out last week. They had decent speed. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Busch put himself back in contention on Sunday.
Do you have any picks, Bradley?
Gibbs needs to turn it around.
Gibbs? Oh, yeah.
He's been the topic of discussion for a lot of different things. It's not the equipment. It's not the car. It's not the team. What's going on? So I think he's in a kind of a pinch point right now where you can only use that scenario for so long. You can only point the finger for so many times before you have to perform. And 34th in the points, just not cutting it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
That is tough.
I would definitely agree with that. We saw all the success he had in the Xfinity series. And, we mentioned earlier, a lot of the young drivers take to the next gen car pretty quick. And he had some good runs in the beginning, but he just hasn't seemed to be one of those guys like we probably all expected him to be.
I raced in a league with him on iRacing before I knew who he even was. And dude can perform. He can do well. So he's got the discipline. He knows how to drive these things. Figure it out, buddy. I know he can do it. He just, I don't know. I think right now he's just in that weird spot where everyone's got high expectations, and maybe he is only a 20th place car right now. But in my opinion, he's shown me talent before this moment. What's going on?
it's definitely fair. He's also pointing back to last season, he's been through a lot in his personal life too. So I'd say that weighed on him for a little while, but I would say it's definitely fair to say that he should be up there running pretty close to his teammates by now.
So, Josh, can you give me a reminder? How many wrecks has Brad Keselowski been in this season?
All of them.
I'd say that's probably correct.
All of them.
So
maybe we'll say 6. His car number 6 wrecks.
Never quits, baby. Let's go. Well, that's who my pick's going to be. I think at Miami he's going to have a turnaround. I don't know how well the turnaround's going to be, but that poor bastard has been in everything that has happened on the racetrack. Did I pick a first one?
I think you went with Centric the first time. I think he's changing his pick.
I picked a winner. That's who I picked to win.
Oh, you mean okay? All right.
So you trying to throw
me? He will
here.
take credit for it though as his pick next week though. If
Barry's going to win the race, I just you guys are going to come back to me like Nostradamus. Rub your crystal ball. Tell me who's winning the next one as soon as it happens. It's going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Well, you heard it now, guys. Bradley Cooper guest on the show next week if Barry wins.
Mm-hmm. Call it right now.
But yeah, I think it's time for Brad Keselowski to not wreck it and turn it around and catch up with his teammates. Sitting 30th in points right now. What a rough start. But guys, guess what? We just wrapped up NASCAR Season 5, and the Juicy Spider gang has already put together a Season 6 intro video. And we're going to cut the mics, open this clip up, and enjoy the show. So... Oh, wait a second. It's a teaser. It's a teaser. He did to tell me it's a teaser. Hold on a second. Get some more.
You teased us by saying that.
He's typing. Just the first 45 seconds. Like we're only watching the first 45 seconds. He's typing, guys. Hold on. It's all that's done. Oh, okay. Gotcha. It's not done. All right.
I feel you on the editing side right now. It'll get done when it gets done. Get done when it gets done.
They're just excited to show it. That's all. All right. Editors, we're going to cut the mics, but throw this up on screen for us. We're going to take a look.
White flag, 1 lap to go. You see Prop Penny. He makes his move into turn 1. Side by side with the race lead. Maryland's going to stick with the 24 from Shane Snyder. Peach gets to the wall. Gets to the wall. Adams gets to the inside. Side trap to the 3. Adams trying to pull the slider. Side by side off turn 4. They're going to make a little bit of contact. Parker, does he have enough fuel? Can he get the run off turn 4? Kyle Todd in the race lead. Does he have enough? Into 3 and 4. Both these drivers both standing in the entire run. Can he stretch enough fuel? Parker loose on the bottom. He's going to lose it. Kyle Todd, he's going to save enough fuel. He's going to win at Montana.
Oh, I want to race again.
Who's that commentator?
I believe that was Aaron Brown. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aaron Brown, Talon Drake, they are over on Legend Racing Network. Correct, from LRN. Yes, Legends Racing Network. Well, from broadcaster to broadcaster, what'd you think of that, Bradley?
Great calls. I like the intensity. I'm immediately like looking at talent level right there. Like I don't even see the broadcast in the same way anymore. I used to go back and watch the things that maybe I was in the race or whatever. But now when I see a broadcast, I'm immediately like, oh, that color's messed up. Camera angle's bad. Like I can't even have fun watching a broadcast anymore. So when I hear quality and I saw that was good stuff. The intensity was there, and maybe the edit helped with it too. I know you guys are quite good at what you do. You make me sound good, so.
Well, I think that badass little microphone you got makes you sound pretty good too.
No, I'm just
showing out on our little Astro mics.
I just scream into it, and something happens.
Well, you're going to be using it a lot here in this next segment, Mr. Bradley Cooper, because you get to introduce yourself. So anyone who's not listening to you on Vspeed or doesn't know you directly, who are you?
First off, I'm a washed up iRacer from 2013. Couldn't cut it on the racetrack, so I started commentary. No, I'm Bradley Cooper from Vspeed. I'm one of the co-owners of the company. We've been going for me personally, I've been doing it 5 years. Vspeed's been around since 2018. We started out with just a couple guys and 2 leagues and turned kind of a hobby into a job. There's a number of different people involved. I could go through the list of names, but how much time you got? Eddie Smith, Logan Threlkeld, Morgan Cook, Christian Hill. We've had other producers from, McConey Entertainment, picked up some guys from what used to be Podium Esports. Great group of people. I've worked with Kenneth Bueno. I've done podcasts with Darryl Waltrip, and just crazy things that I never thought would be possible in this whole journey that is, hobby turned job. Fun at the same time, very demanding. And I don't know, like biography wise, I just, drove iRacing, got addicted to it. We talked about it a little bit earlier, got hooked on it in 2013, and I knew that there was something special with it. It's a great service, and I'm super happy that I get to freelance and do my own schedule. I've had a ton of fun with this stuff.
Yeah, and listening to you talk there made me think of some other questions I want to ask you. I'm just going to write that down real quick.
And I also need to thank Adam Baker. He's the guy that started it all. So just want to establish Vspeed starts with Adam Baker. The end.
Copy that. Okay. Leading into Vspeed, or was your first broadcast gig at Vspeed?
No, I actually worked for I kind of distanced myself a little bit from the guys that originally got me on it. But I will thank them 100%. It's a wide, well, I can't probably say the name. It's Wide Fucking Open. So go ahead and just bleep that part out. But WFL Racing, they had a sim series that I was participating in back in 2016. They needed a broadcaster for Tuesday nights. I wasn't racing Tuesday. I was racing on Wednesday. And they asked if I would be interested in it. And I did it completely for free for a whole year. They taught me so much, right? With the software you needed and the overlays, and I had no clue what I was doing, but I like to talk, and they gave me a microphone. So I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And that's kind of where that starts. I guess I got good at it towards the end somehow. And the group of people that were leaving the league started their own, asked me if I'd broadcast, and I started my own channel. I was like, yeah, I'll try to take care of it. And that's where Adam Baker met me. I was broadcasting their Contender series. It was their feeder series. He was doing the main cup series and harassed me in the chat every day. Every time I was live, he was in there saying, hey man, you should do this. And hey man, you should come hang out post race. We'll talk about some stuff. Come over here and help us out at Vspeed. He was just like, this is the guy I want. So it turned into a job though at that point, right? Starting out with just a couple leagues and I was covering things for him. He got married, moved to Canada. Long story short, I got fired from my job. I think I talked to Mike a little bit about this. I was a mechanic for 8 years, and when I got fired, I didn't have a plan B anymore. And this little hobby was sitting there on the side, and I somehow convinced my wife to let me do it full time. So give me a year, see what I can do with it. And here we are.
Sick. That's pretty badass. So, just out of curiosity, when it comes to like watching any kind of broadcast, doesn't matter what your favorite sport is or whatever you, do you have like a specific inspiration that led you to really want to get into this?
Well, I can remember playing with, the tiny diecast cars as a kid, playing NASCAR 99 and doing post-race interviews. Look, the imagination that you have as a child is endless. I had a coffee table in my grandma's house that was perfectly shaped like Homestead, and I would drive my 26 diecasts around this thing and do commentary while playing with them. It's a little bit of geeking out there. Not, when you're a kid, you don't think twice about doing things like that. But when you get to high school, you gotta put those things aside. And I guess I never really, the Step Brothers, when the dad's talking about how he was a dinosaur and he forgot how to do it. That's kind of how I felt, right? So, but I never forgot. It was always there. That was my dinosaur. Yep, for sure.
So, how far back does your racing part of it go? Like, because I mentioned to you in our interview that we had on Vspeed after Atlanta that I had competed in the console era for quite a long time. So, is that where you had come from as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. When I got into iRacing, it was just by pure chance. I hopped into a public lobby on NASCAR 12, and a driver in that lobby was offering people iRacing. He was trying to get promotion where you would, I forget the words evading me right now. Where you would put down their email and give them the
reference
the reference number, right? So you would give him the reference, and he was trying to get people to do that because he wanted iRacing credits, and so it was a smart system, right? Like most console guys don't know how a PC works or even have it available, and I just happened to have a laptop that my wife had, so the test with this was he gave me his, I don't know, it was statute of limitations with iRacing. If you account share, how long does that go back?
I lost on me.
So he allowed me to sign into his name and download the service and play a private lobby hosted race at Talladega. And when you go from console racing where it says it supports 16 people, but if you get more than 8, it usually crashes out half the field, to 34 cars on a racetrack. And I'm, bear in mind, I don't have a wheel, and I'm playing on a laptop. I'm using a mouse and keyboard. I'm using the little touchpad. Instantly hooked. So it goes all the way back to 2013. Prior to that, I had fixations on racing, had opportunities. Family life, things changed, got in the way of that. But I had done testing for go-karts and was pretty adamant that I was going to do that just because I loved it so much. NASCAR 04, NASCAR 2002, like all the console games, just super into it. But I think I missed a calling with that at the younger age. But now that I'm at the age I am now, I know that I found the happy medium where I get to experience that, but I don't have to deal with the danger. So I'm kind of glad with that. My kid is super into anything with a steering wheel right now, and he has his own sim rig. He has his own go-kart. So I'm hoping to live vicariously through him and see if it's truly in DNA, like if you're just born with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too, the way some of these guys handle race cars versus, some of these other schlubs.
Instincts. It's crazy. He's got a little bit of it.
Josh, did you have anything you wanted to ask him?
I don't think necessarily ask, but just kind of mentioning how he got started on the service is very similar to me. I started full-time in 2015, but I had a subscription back in 2012 or maybe 2013, and I started on a laptop myself. And it's kind of interesting how a lot of people, start out, but they're sim rig or whatever you want to call it looks like when you first start to maybe what it does now. I remember I had a laptop sitting on, maybe like a pile of books on a desk, and then my steering wheel was clamped to one of them dinner trays that you just sit at the couch or something.
No way.
And I would race like that. So I'm not super techie with my setup, but it's definitely a lot better now than it was back then. So just those early beginnings, just everybody trying to get into it is always really funny. But we all found kind of a calling with iRacing, and it's just really cool, kind of what a lot of people have turned it into, and his story is pretty great.
The service is by far, like we were talking about this earlier before we went live, how nothing comes close, and once you try it, you just can't fill that void. Gran Turismo doesn't come close anymore. Assetto Corsa is probably the only game or sim that is even close. And even with that, there's not as much support for the stock car realm. You don't feel as competitive because there's so many ways to manipulate some of that stuff. iRacing's done a fantastic job with putting in safety systems and license classes and keeping it competitive with the iRating. It truly is a refinement of what online racing should be. And I think we're just scratching the surface with the immersion. I hope in the next 10 years, we can confidently say, like, this is as close to a stock car as you're going to get without, spending $500,000+. So I'm excited for where it goes. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited for the console NASCAR to come out, since they're behind it as well. Maybe we can finally have a decade of a NASCAR game that's worth playing again. Yeah. And maybe we can get on there and just mess around, like the good old days.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely throw back, because that's where me and Donnie first met, back on like NASCAR, the game 2011 or something, running in his league. So definitely when we get a console game, we can just fire up the Xbox or PlayStation again. It'd be pretty fun to just throw back to. Yes.
Give us a career mode, please.
Co-op.
Something that makes sense. Co-op career mode. You want like a dynasty, like Madden?
Like them F1 style, the F1 co-op career?
Yeah. I mean,
that's so bad.
Absolutely. Those games just don't exist. A lot of features that were introduced, and we have, like, I don't know how far back we have to keep going to find games that were so high quality, but why were the definitive games that gave us these features made in 2009? Like, we need these things. Add on to it. Anyway, rant over on that. Sorry.
Well, Bradley, I mean, I just have one other question for you. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, and maybe you could even find it for the editors to put up a post recording, but do you have an all-time favorite call that you've made?
All time. Man. That's a tough question. I would say, there's two races that immediately come to mind that are more recent. There was a Talladega race for QSR. This was a year ago. We had a 4-wide finish that was separated by 3/1000ths of a second. That was an epic finish. I think I actually sent that to somebody here, so that could definitely be a video to put up. And maybe the bias shows a little bit in that one because a V-Speed car won it. But
white flag in the air here for QSR Xfinity Series. Morgan Cook takes over the point. The 07 moves out. Not yet. They're sizing it up here for the run out of turn 4. Who's going to go with who? Quentin Stewart on the outside with the 95. Big wreck. The 00. Randy Swale is in the wall. They're going to stay going down the backstretch.
And check it out on the top side. Got Paul Ayala. He's going to try to roll up here on the top side. He's got Quentin Stewart right behind him up front. It is all Jared Ziegler. Kevin West may try to jump up now. Wilkin, he gets tagged. Morgan Cook able to get by. They're crashing. They're flipping all over the place. Whole damn field piling in as Morgan Cook gets into the back of Kevin West. Ziegler trying to go down to the bottom side. Monix, Daniel Monix, far wide at the finish line. Who got it? It was Morgan Cook.
That was a good finish. But as far as calls go, I think my favorite time when I'm calling a race is when I can focus on production and I have a really talented commentator that can take lead. So pretty much anything that we did for Sunoco with Kenneth Bueno was just, it was another level from what we had been used to doing. Like, we had the right pieces of the puzzle. We were doing the things right. We were making a good show. But when you add talent levels like that, guys that have that voice and can do the extra where they put together a win list and they have statistics and they can recollect a driver's win-loss ratio or just pull from, an Excel sheet and just have that ready. They did it themselves. It makes you even better. So probably anything that I've called Sunoco was my favorite time working for Vspeed, for sure.
Let's see if we can whip that up and throw it in post-recording here to close out the show. Did you guys have anything planned as far as like a clip you were wanting to show? I don't see anything as far as what's in my feed here that I can pull up.
We were working on a top 10 video. We're still working on it. I'm still trying to get some replay, some RPY files to work with. So didn't quite get that done, but I did send that 4 wide finish, I think, to Nick or Mike, one of the two. So it's definitely available for that. On the call, we had, you might have to do some editing in that as well with some bleeps because the co-commentator I had in there was, so Jake Reeves. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jake Reeves, the redneck announcer, but he was going off the hinge during that one.
Oh, that'll be entertaining for sure.
It was redneck crazy. Announcer catches just about everybody's ear, so we'll probably get probably good laughs out of that. He definitely
gave it his all on that one.
Well, I'm excited to see that. So before we close this thing out, Bradley, do you have anywhere that the listeners and viewers need to be following you on? Anywhere they need to check out? Just go ahead and list it off now.
Yeah, we're at Vspeed Sim on X or Twitter, whatever you prefer to call it. Then vspeedsim.com. That's our main page. If you have any inquiries about services from Vspeed, if you need a broadcaster, we have several different commentators and a few producers here that we're getting booked up. So, 3-4 months out in advance at this point.
Wow.
We're trying to get more producers, get more shows, but that's the main places you can find us. There's an email in there as well when you visit the website that you can contact me or Adam directly. The Discord is always open. If you need an invite, just send us a message. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. They're all Vspeed Sim. And then finally, just find us on YouTube. Vspeed Sim. That's the main place. You're gonna catch flag to flag racing for 14 different leagues through the year here. So plenty of oval and road racing, variety of everything.
Hell yeah, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in this week and listening along and watching our little clips, listening to us goof off. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, community engagement. There's going to be a little blob that pops up on screen now to let you know how to get involved with community engagement part of the show. Just go ahead and follow that quick guide. Check us out on all of our socials. Drop a like on the video, helps us out in the algorithm. It's kicking our ass, let's see if we can get Juicy Spider Network up on top of the board. I'm sure Vspeed's going to help us out with that a little bit, huh? But just kidding. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming in, listening to me, Josh, and Bradley. Thank you guys for hanging out with me as well. We're going to let the editors get started on what they do best. So yeah, you guys have a good one. Thanks for coming along.
Great job, editors. Thank you.
See you guys later.